Hepatitis is a virus that affects the liver, causing its enlargement and damage. Symptoms are fever, chills, headache, decreased appetite, tenderness in the upper right abdomen, dark urine, light-coloured faeces, and yellow skin or eyes. There are 3 types of hepatitis. Hepatitis A is found in the faeces of infected people and is passed on to food and drink because of poor hygiene. Food prepared or washed with contaminated water can usually transmit the infection. Fruits, salads, raw vegetables, and any uncooked foods are considered to be a high risk, as are ice cream and iced drinks. Shellfish grown in contaminated seawater can be particularly dangerous. Hepatitis B is more serious and can result in chronic liver disease. It is spread through blood transfer, and it is transmitted through needle share, sexual contact, blood transfusion, and tattooing. Vaccination is effective. Hepatitis C is transmitted primarily through intravenous drug use and shared needles, maternal transmission, and sexual contact. Vaccination is effective. Here is a summary of the sources of the 3 types of hepatitis and a list of the symptoms of hepatitis. Many illnesses are spread by animals and insects. Rabies is a viral infection, passed on from dogs, foxes, bats and monkeys, usually through the saliva after a bite. Rabies is endemic in several parts of Eastern Europe, but is mostly found in Asia. The virus affects the peripheral nervous system first, and then makes its way to the brain. Symptoms may take from 2 weeks to 2 years to appear. They are headache and stiffness initially, but later symptoms are a fear of water, foaming at the mouth, irrational behaviour, and swelling of the brain. By the time symptoms appear, the disease is untreatable and fatal. However, early vaccination after a bite may prevent the disease developing. Therefore, avoid these animals, however cute. Insects, worms and parasites, such as fleas and mites, carry a variety of illnesses, too many to list, and precautions should be taken to minimise the risk of being affected. Do not walk barefoot anywhere, even alongside a swimming pool in a modern hotel. If you are going into the wild on your days between flights, have all of the recommended vaccinations, and make sure you wash and sterilise any cuts or bites. To prevent insects from carrying diseases from one country to another in aircraft, aerosol sprays are used. Production of the discharged aerosols is often a requirement by health authorities on arrival. Periodic fumigation of the whole aircraft is also required. How ill do you need to be before being unfit to fly? Generally, it is up to the crew member to decide. But whereas a cold might not prevent one from going to an office to work, the same decline in concentration, hearing, and perhaps visual focus could reduce flying performance in a critical way. If in doubt, do not fly. If you do fly when unwell, the dry atmosphere, noise and stress may further detract from your performance. Worst of all, this can happen in an insidious way. There are JAR rules about not flying when one is ill, and these are examined under air law. But for the sake of completeness, we will look at them here as well. In brief, Flight Crew Licensing Document 3, which deals with medical requirements, states that the holder of a medical certificate shall not exercise the privileges of their licence when they are aware of any decrease in their medical fitness, which might render them unable to safely exercise those privileges. Specific situations are also covered in the JAR rules. A pilot must not take any prescription or non-prescription drugs unless one is completely sure that there will be no adverse effect on their ability to perform safely. Otherwise, they should consult an aviation doctor. Over-the-counter drugs can have side effects, especially if they are mixed, so self-medication without advice is to be avoided. Here are some of the more common medicines with their side effects. It may appear unsafe to take any medicines, but care and advice should resolve any possible problems. Use the mouse to scroll down the list. JAR also require crew to seek advice when they are admitted to hospital for more than 12 hours, or they have a surgical or invasive procedure, or they regularly use medication, or regularly use glasses. JAR further requires crew to inform their aviation doctor or aviation authority if they have a personal injury which makes them unfit to fly, an illness for 21 days which makes them unfit to fly, or if they are pregnant. The effect of such a notification is that the crew member's medical certificate is suspended until the event ends. Finally, if a pilot has received a local anaesthetic, perhaps at the dentist, he must not fly for 12 hours, or if he's had a general anaesthetic, he must not fly for 48 hours. In summary, if a pilot is so unwell that he requires any medication, he should consider himself unfit to fly, and if a pilot or colleague becomes unwell during flight, prompt action should be taken before the situation deteriorates. Another, and thankfully remote, cause of illness or injury is toxic material on the aircraft. An inventory has to be kept of toxic, infectious or dangerous freight, and the means of packaging is prescribed by ICAO. Click on the screen to see packaging details. A much greater risk, however, is posed by equipment and materials in the aircraft, such as fuel, lubricants and propellants. These can release vapours, which irritate the respiratory system and the skin, and they can damage the nervous system. Anti-icing fluid gives off fumes, and the component ethylene glycol is highly toxic. Fire extinguishing agents, especially BCF, may cause suffocation, dizziness and confusion. Mercury can be found in some instruments and thermometers. Any contact with skin should be washed off with hot water. Spillages of mercury within the aircraft can have serious consequences, because it is corrosive to aluminium. On no account should it be blown away, as it will only settle and damage elsewhere. Batteries contain acid, which is corrosive to both the skin and to metals. Any spillage should be washed off. Fires of any description on an aircraft will cause smoke, which in itself is harmful to the lungs. But even worse will be smoke from those materials which produce toxic smoke when they burn, such as plastic. Exhaust gases may be of a greater danger to passengers in small aircraft, but gases may still be a problem on the ground for large aircraft, depending on the wind direction. Care should also be taken on the pre-flight inspections. And lastly, be aware that cleaning materials can burn the skin, and commercial cleaners may also give off fumes. Under the heading of intoxication, we will look at smoking, alcohol and caffeine. It goes without saying that there can be no use of recreational drugs by crew. The harmful effects of smoking are well known, but they have additional significance for a pilot. Without a Class A medical, one cannot fly, and as smoking harms so many parts of the body, such as the heart, the body's circulation, blood pressure, the threshold of hypoxia and night vision, smoking jeopardizes one's career. Smoking is known to damage lung tissue and cause cancer. Cigarette smoke contains carbon monoxide, which combines more readily with hemoglobin than does oxygen. Someone who smokes 1 packet a day will have about 2.5 times more carbon monoxide in his blood than a non-smoker. Of particular relevance to pilots is the reduced ability to resist hypoxia. Night vision is impaired, and tolerance of G-forces is less. In all, smoking is not a good idea.